What's good, y'all? We back with another video, man. How y'all doing? Today we got top 5 demons Ed and Lori Warren feared. Finna see what these boys talking about. I think Ed and Lori, they like some supernatural, like, you know what I'm saying? They like discover demons and angels and all the other stuff. So we finna see what these boys talking about. Yeah.
Lorraine were some of the bravest demonologists ever, but even they got scared from time to time. Here are the top 5 demons Ed and Lorraine Warren feared. Number 5 on this list is the Shadow Doll. Whatever demon took up residence in this evil-looking doll was not one that the Warrens were too fond of. Scare Street says, the Warrens' files do not state why this horrible doll was created in the first place. However, they do state that it was used in satanic rituals, and it was created by black magic using human and animal bones. It's rumored that if a picture were to be taken of the doll, it would project itself into the dreams of the person who dared to look at it in the eye. However, it is not only a simple dream. The dream would be so intensely nightmarish that the victims would either suffer from a heart attack or forever be frightened of sleep because of the horrifying looking doll. The files even state that there were a few deaths caused by it. The Shadow Doll was later found in an antique shop, and oddly enough, a couple purchased it. After the purchase, the couple began to encounter the eeriest of nightmares. They later found out that they were experiencing the same nightmares of the cursed doll, and that the husband had scratches all over his back and neck, which could only be traced back to the Shadow Doll. Clearly, this doll and its capabilities was something that the Warrens were very concerned about. It's one thing to be attacked when you're awake and conscious. Let's face it, this happened to the Warrens all the time, and they were constantly having to deal with scary demons coming after them. Obviously, this was never a great time, but it was something that they could handle. Getting attacked while you're asleep, though, that's a completely different animal. Exactly. You are now being haunted in a world where things won't make any sense. A world where this Shadow Doll can manipulate the physics and do things that they wouldn't be able to do outside of our heads. It also meant for the Warrens that they wouldn't have one another. They were a team and tackled every single one of their demonic foes as a unit. Getting attacked while you were asleep in your brain meant that the other person, even though they would most likely be lying right next to you, they'd have no idea that you're getting attacked and wouldn't be able to do anything to save you. All of this is why the Warrens had to take this doll and bring it to their museum. This was, of course, after they performed various ceremonies on it to try and extract the demonic presence. Number 4 on this list is the Amityville Horror House. This is the case, the demon, the haunting, that launched the Warrens to stardom. But don't think that it didn't come at a cost. Pop Sugar says, the demonologists became a household name for the supernatural after their involvement in the infamous Amityville house. The scary elements of this story really began in 1974, when 23-year-old Ronald Defoe Jr., one of the children of the Defoe family, murdered his 2 parents and 4 siblings in their sleep. The house was empty for a year, but George and Kathy Lutz eventually bought the house for a very cheap price of $80,000. The couple and the children only stayed for 28 days after seeing slime ooze from a wall and a red-eyed pig creature, among other disturbances. In addition to these occurrences, George saw his wife levitating and said that he woke up at 3:15 every day, time when Defoe killed his family. The Warrens came in and determined that there were psychic troubles even before the notorious murders. A demon was in this place causing problems. The Warrens knew it, and they had to deal with it. Now, I don't think that the demon can be blamed for everything that went on here. At the end of the day, murder is murder, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But after the fact, this place was susceptible to being haunted, and a demon definitely came in here and haunted it pretty well. It's their most famous case for a reason. Number 3 on this list is the
$1,200.
And people will buy the doll and buy the house and live in it.
Enfield Poltergeist. The Enfield Poltergeist was a possessive demon who specifically targeted 2 young girls. MovieWeb says this well-known case formed the subject matter for The Conjuring 2. This case saw the Warrens flying overseas to London, England, in order to investigate alleged poltergeist activity in the North London borough of Enfield. Peggy Hodgson, a single parent, had initially called the police after 2 of her 4 children had reported knocking sounds on the walls. Peggy herself claimed to have witnessed furniture moving around with no explanation. This was apparently also corroborated by a police officer visiting the house. Ed and Lorraine Warren were convinced that the events were of supernatural origin and appeared to be predominantly focused around 2 of Peggy Hodgson's teenage daughters, with the girls seeming at times to apparently levitate off the ground. So like I said, a demon who really enjoyed possessing people. These are some of the most dangerous types of demons because you simply don't know who or what to believe anymore. If you're living in a house that's haunted, then how do you know that your dad, for instance, is who he claims he is? How do I know who to trust? Also, I am just as susceptible to being taken over by this creature, and I can't imagine that that's a great time. It's easy to see why Ed and Lorraine Warren were scared by this demon. Number 2 on this list is the Annabelle doll. One of the most famous demons that the Warrens ever encountered, Annabelle certainly gave the pair many sleepless nights. The story behind Annabelle starts with a girl named Deirdre, who got the doll as a gift from her mother. It was a nice gift at first, but it wasn't long after she had it that she started noticing some weird occurrences. She would leave the doll in one spot, and then when she came home later that day, sure enough, the doll had moved somewhere else. Pretty creepy. This was creepy to begin with, but it gets a lot worse. One day she came home and noticed that the doll was covered in blood. It was at this point where she decided to seek a professional opinion. She sought the help of a medium to get advice. Scare Street says the medium told her about a little girl named Annabelle Higgins, who was once a happy child playing in the fields until her life mysteriously ended. After her death, she roamed the buildings that were built on this field. One night, her boyfriend, Cal, woke up to see Annabelle shocking him. It was awfully strong. Another night, Annabelle had attacked him and left him with 7 bloody scratches on his chest. They decided to contact their local priest, and that was how the Warrens heard their ominous story. The Warrens delivered the victims a shocking truth, saying that there was no Annabelle and it was a mere trick from a demonic spirit which was allowed to manifest the doll after their agreement. The Warrens told them that the spirit was given permission to inflict harm on them, and that if they had remained silent, the spirit would have killed them all within a week or 2. They held an exorcism and took the doll with them. Whilst driving, though, Ed lost control over the car for a few times, and the priest who had made fun of the doll was killed in a dreadful accident. Disturbed by the doll, the Warrens decided to keep it in a sealed box. This thing almost took Ed Warren off the road and could have ended the Warrens' lives prematurely. Safe to say that they feared this demon a decent amount, I think. And finally, number 1 on this list is the Conjuring House. The famous Ed and Lorraine movie was based on fact, folks. One of the scariest run-ins the pair had with the demon. MovieWeb says the house in question, located in Harrisville, Rhode Island, is said to be haunted by the ghost of a woman alleged to be a witch. The commonly accepted story states that the woman killed her son and herself in order to haunt any future occupants of the house. The Warrens' investigation took place in 1974 when they made repeated visits to the property in order to investigate reports of a malevolent entity capable of lifting beds, whilst also filling the air with the reek of rotting flesh. This particular was of course the basis of the first film in the series, The Conjuring. While Ed Warren had already passed away during the production of the movie, Lorraine Warren served as a consultant on the project. Of that long ago investigation, she admitted the things that went on there were just so incredibly frightening, it still affects me to talk about it today. Literally, Lorraine, when she was alive, was still affected by the things that went on in this house. It's no wonder that Hollywood saw this as a prime opportunity to make a movie and rake in the money. The original story was just so scary to begin with. But there you have it, folks. That is our list of the top 5.
Man, bro. These people is crazy, bro. They seen her buying the doll, buying the house, living in the houses where it's haunted. They over here buying dolls, making fun of dolls, and like what, bro? Why don't you just leave it alone? Don't even worry about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it is what it is, bro. It's not my skin color. It's just letting y'all know, you know. But hopefully you guys like the video, man. Yeah, man. See y'all tomorrow, bro.